Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Voices and Views. This is Mark Matheson, and my guest right now is Chris Benson. She is the director of the Great Falls Community Gospel Choir, and we're going to be talking about Black History Month and some of the events that are taking place in Great Falls and at the college here. So welcome, Chris. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good. So let's talk about some of the events first, and then we'll get into some other areas. What is coming up?
Well, there's a Black History celebration at MSU, and I'm really excited about it because with that celebration, it's going on all month long, and there's various activities such as weekly on a Wednesday, we're having info displays on Black history. And we have different organizations or churches that are participating in this. And that's what's so exciting because the community is coming together. And they're just celebrating Black History Month with us, such as the Union Bethel AME, which is one of the oldest churches here in Great Falls, Montana. They did their display just this past Wednesday where they pretty much highlighted Rosa Parks, and they had other historical people there. We also had the YWCA, and we had a film from 1 to 1:45, civil rights documentary. That is going to be going on every Wednesday at MSU.
And what time?
From 1 to 1:45. The displays are there from 12:30 to 2:30. And each week is something different. We have Echoes Pregnancy Care Center. They're going to display Black entertainers. And the Beehive is going to have some other different history on Black historians. And then also each week, if you missed it the first week, you can always catch up with it the second Wednesday, the third Wednesday, as well as the fourth Wednesday from 1 to 1:45, civil rights documentary.
And where can they catch that?
That's right here in the MSU.
Actually, we're now the Great Falls College, so that nobody makes a mistake looking for MSU. We're the same place.
Great Falls College. I have to get used to that.
Names change, but we stay the same here.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But along with everything that is going on, too, we have displays of Black inventions. I don't think a lot of people are aware of Black inventions. Are you, Mark?
I am fairly familiar with it, but I'm an odd duck. I like history.
Well, could you tell me a little bit about what you might know about Black inventions?
Well, not on the spot, but I know where I can find it.
Well, I was really surprised to find out at my age that the air conditioning unit was invented by Frederick M. Jones, a Black person, back in 1949. And also, I was really surprised that the baby buggy and everything that I'm going to name, like the bicycle frame, those are inventions by Black people. The biscuit cutter was by A.P. Ashbourne. I mean, these are things we use every day now. You know, are you familiar with any of those that I've named?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. That's a good thing. What I wonder about is if any of these are being taught in school.
Well, they weren't when I was in high school, but we've come a long ways from those days, and I hope the schools are a little more progressive. And it's important for people to understand why we have Black History Month, why a whole month is dedicated to the Black people, the history. And people don't really realize it, but America was built on the backs of slaves.
Wow.
That's a powerful statement.
Yes.
But
it's good.
We have taken advantage of the Black people for so long, and we use them in so many ways. Now, I'd like to ask you, why February?
Well, history states that celebrating Black history began in 1926.
Mm-hmm.
We've been celebrating this. And I'd like to interject in there that I don't necessarily call it Black history. I just call it American history.
Yes.
I call it American history, even though it is Black History Month.
Yeah.
You know? So when this started back in 1926 with Dr. Carter G. Woodson, he's a Harvard PhD. He initiated Negro History Week.
Mm-hmm.
And with Dr. Woodson, he's a historian.
Mm-hmm.
I love talking to historians. There's so much information there. And there's just such good information that you just don't get every day. So going forth, he chose the second week back in 1926 of February. And that was because it included the birthdays of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. He thought that was a good time to introduce Black history. So as time progressed in 1976, the bicentennial 200th birthday of the USA, there became a week-long observance. Not only a week-long observance, it was extended to a month-long observance. And to this day, the entire month of February has been dedicated to just acknowledging Black history and the people that have kept things moving, the people that have just fought for the rights of Black people, the people that have invented things that we use today and made life so much more bearable to know that we are a great people.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it is a travesty the way that we used to treat the Black people as well as Indians and others. But,
Mm-hmm.
You and I we're close to the same age, and I was born in Jim Crow, Florida.
No.
Yeah.
I know.
But, that's not where my family is from. My family's from Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of Great Falls beginning were from Minneapolis people. Paris
Mm-hmm.
Gibson came there from there to here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because of that northern beginnings of the Great Falls area, I think this is why we can be so proud of the first, we had the first Black constable.
Mm-hmm.
The church that you just mentioned is very old.
Right.
And whereas other parts of the state were settled by people escaping the South or leaving the South after the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
And so our Great Falls heritage, from the North, made a huge difference in the way we saw the Black people as they came out here. And there's a lot of really neat people in our Black people in our history here.
Absolutely, like Alma Smith Jacobs.
Mm-hmm.
She was started the first library.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a celebration. She's the first Black librarian here, and there's a celebration that's going to be going on at the library on the 13th in honor of her. And I myself have been here over 26 years from Florida.
From Florida, yes. Right.
I find Montana to be a wonderful place, and very kind people here
Yeah.
that I've experienced with that is not in so many places,
Right. Yeah, and I've traveled around too, and I study people. I observe, and I find, like you, I find the North region in particular, in Montana, where I've been living for 13 years, is very open and accepting. So we have a lot to be proud of as a people here in Great Falls.
Absolutely. I'll never forget. I came here through the military, and I had never experienced this, where I had to write a check, and I don't know how prevalent it is now. And I wrote a check, and I didn't have any ID on me,
Mm-hmm.
and it was no problem.
Yeah.
I thought, oh my gosh,
Yeah. I experienced the same thing.
did
you know,
you?
From when I moved here from a little farther east.
Mm-hmm.
But Great Falls, our heritage with the black people, it's just there's so much there,
Yeah, it is.
and it's really neat. And sometimes we hear about names, Martin Luther King Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
for example, Rosa Parks, and so many of the great civil rights leaders are gone now.
Yes.
But something that I thought was very interesting is when I first heard about the Highland Center and Miles Horton,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't really realize, that little obscure school in Tennessee
Mm-hmm.
was so important in the civil rights era.
Absolutely.
Rosa Parks went there to
Mm-hmm.
get some training before she had the bus incident.
Right.
Martin Luther King was there. Woody Guthrie
Mm-hmm.
went there. Pete Seeger, who we
Mhm.
just lost,
Mhm.
he was there. And so many of the great people in the civil rights and continuing on into today
Mm-hmm.
got a boost from the Highland Center. If anybody wants to read a book about this incredible place and the incredible man behind it, it's called Unearthing Seeds of Fire.
Mm-hmm.
Just a very, very interesting book about how here in the Deep South, the civil rights era was really jump-started.
Absolutely. I'm amazed at the history that you do know, Mark.
Well,
It is just overwhelming, and I feel like I have a lot of catching up. But what really, it kind of bothers me that we have a generation of young people that don't have a clue.
right. And it doesn't matter what color they are.
Right.
They're not thinking about the past.
Right.
The past is a path that got us where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to know where we came from so that we can chart our future.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And but unfortunately in schools, history has gotten a bad rap. And people really need to start studying history on their own in order to get a better picture of where we came from.
Right. Right.
And sometimes it starts with just looking at your family history. Where did your grandparents, your great-grandparents come from?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I've done a lot of research in, and I'm very proud. I found a lot of my ancestors going back to the Mayflower,
Mm-hmm.
and I cannot find a single one of them that had a slave.
Wow.
So I'm very proud of my family heritage, and this is something that everyone learn a little bit.
Yes. And speaking of family history, my family on my dad's side was from the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my grandfather was from Europe.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother was from Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And I never got a chance to meet my grandparents. But I'm here in Montana, of all places.
Yeah.
And my grandmother on my mother's side and my grandfather on my mother, they were all from the South. And so when I look at some of the history, it is totally amazing how it has left such a impression on me. Let me give you an example. And I think I've told this story once before. I have had 5 children. They're all adults now.
Mm-hmm.
But when we would go on trips, I would pack lots of food. Lots of food. That, to me, is what made the trip fun.
Yeah.
Potato salad, fried chicken, pound cake,
Mm-hmm.
peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, pop, you name it, just little snacks. And I came here, And I got questioned about, why in the world do you pack so much when you can just stop at McDonald's and Burger King? And I thought about it, and I went and I talked to my mom. She's passed away now, but I told my mom about, Mom, someone asked me, why do we pack? And so I asked her, Mom, why did you pack so much? Because that's where I got it from. And that's when I got a whole different view of why I do what I do. And it was because when we would travel cross country, we weren't allowed to use the bathrooms or to stop at the restaurants.
Yeah.
And my parents didn't allow me to see that part.
Yeah.
They made it fun for me. So it became, in my eyesight, that when you go on a trip, this is what you do.
Yeah.
You pack lots of food and you have fun.
Right.
But when my mother explained to me that when we pull over on the side of the road for you to use the bathroom, it's because we couldn't use the bathroom.
Right.
When we pack those lunches, it's because we couldn't eat in the restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
And we never traveled at night because when we went through Georgia, because my brothers went to school at Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Southern University. We would go up to Southern University, but we would never travel through Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. We would never travel to those places at night. But, see, I thought that we just went on these trips and we slept at night,
Yeah.
But we made sure that we traveled in the daytime, and we had all this food because we couldn't eat at a restaurant.
Yeah.
That was passed on down to my kids, and I began to realize that I was packing lunch for a fun reason that my parents gave me so that I wouldn't have an ill feeling about it.
And it was a very serious reason then.
Yes, it was. But now when I look back at how many things did we do to deter our feelings about things? How many things that our parents did so that I wouldn't grow up feeling insecure? I wouldn't grow up feeling that, I was left out. How many parents did things like that and made us feel like we're doing this because it's fun? We're doing this because that's what you do on a trip. And I was passing that same thing down to my children until I finally asked my mom, why did you pack all that food?
Yeah.
And I found out what the real reason was.
A very practical reason. And that's something that many white people don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
This 2014, we have a president that is partially black, his heritage.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't realize what things were like in the 50s and the 60s.
No.
A great film, if people have not seen it before, it's called In the Heat of the Night with Sidney Poitier, 1967. The setting of the movie was in Sparta, Mississippi, deep south. 1967, or filming probably in 66, they could not film it down there. They had to film it up in Illinois.
Amazing.
And there was one scene in a cotton field, and they actually shot that in Tennessee, but they had to make it real quick because there was death threats on Poitier and some of the other actors, and they had a hard time finding the place for Poitier to stay in a motel that would accept a black man. 1967.
Did you know where Sidney Poitier is from?
Is it the Bahamas?
Yes, you're right.
Yes.
You're good.
Yeah. But, we have come a long, long way. We don't want to dwell on the negative things of the past, but we still need to know what has happened so that we can celebrate today.
Absolutely.
And there's still more to go, folks.
There is.
There's still a lot of attitudes that have not changed, and they need to change.
I know.
A new generation is here.
Yes.
And we need to leave those racist attitudes in the past.
Absolutely. I agree. You know how much joy that we would have as a people when we lay aside all of that prejudice, all of that bias. And I want to invite everyone to come celebrate with us on the 25th when we will have a gospel recording artist Demetrius McClendon and the Great Falls Community Gospel Choir will be singing with him. We do have rehearsals. Our rehearsals are on February 11th and the 18th at University of Great Falls in the chapel from 6:30 to 8. We will have refreshments after each rehearsal. So if you're getting off from work, you need to rush, we will have some refreshments there. And then on the 24th, we will have our last rehearsal before the event at the MSU, Great Falls College, MSU, in the Heritage Hall with the artists. We will have a band, and you are invited to come to these rehearsals and be a part of the community gospel choir. It's going to be a great time. We will have steppers. We will have the spoken word. We will have praise dancers. Everything that will just bring us all together as a community to celebrate and to keep moving forward.
And to learn.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Chris. Appreciate you coming in. Again, if you folks would like a little more information, to get a hold of the college, Great Falls College, or they can contact you at 868-6797.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks
Appreciate
for
it.
having me. Thanks for having me.
There's so much to learn, folks. Reach out, learn a little bit, and come enjoy these celebrations. So this is Mark Matheson. I thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
We've been talking to Chris Benson. She is the director of the Great Falls Community Gospel Choir.
Come join us.
Come join us. All right. Have a good day. This is Mark Matheson for Voices and Views. Have a good day.